I was actually out of town on business. I traveled a lot back then. That's why when I heard it, I was like, okay, my trip is wrapping up. I'm coming back in town. And to be honest with you, when I first heard it, it was like, okay, he's in the hospital. I'm thinking that he's a young kid and he's vibrant, he's gonna be fine. And then by the time I got back to Atlanta, he was gone. When I first heard the news, it was basically that, Brandon was trying to cross the street and he just got hit by a truck. But then when he passed, I was just devastated and shocked. Brandon was just a very incredible kid. He had moved up from Tifton, and I helped him get him an apartment up here. But yeah, he was doing his own thing. He was a very eclectic kid. He loved music. As a matter of fact, his nickname was Jimi Hendrix. And that's what we had in common, because I love rock music. Just gone too soon.
The Brandon Lanier case was about a young man who lived in Tifton who was crossing the street in downtown Tifton. He pushed the button to have the red light cycle to green for him to cross the street. When it was green, he looked left and there was a pickup truck coming. What Brandon did was he waited until the pickup truck that was coming stopped. After the pickup truck stopped and he's standing there, then he starts and takes 2 or 3 steps into the intersection, and at that moment, the pickup truck driver hit the gas, making a right turn on red, struck Brandon in the crosswalk, knocked him down, and claimed to have never seen him until he was on the ground after he got out of the truck. He had no idea what had happened. Brandon did not survive the head injuries that he sustained as a result of being struck by the pickup truck and striking his head on the pavement.
The defense came up with a pretty innovative argument that even though Brandon was in the crosswalk, they presented some evidence that the crossing signal might have not been a green walk signal, but a flashing hand signal, and they argued that he was equally at fault as the driver of their company vehicle. Even going up to the jury deliberations and the verdict, we felt like that was a bogus defense, but the jury bought into it and found Brandon Lanier 50% at fault, which in Georgia means you get no recovery.
It was just a stunning defeat for a jury to find a pedestrian in the crosswalk 50% at fault because the red hand was flashing. And I called it the worst loss of my career.
Normally, when you lose a case, the law firm doesn't really care about the person anymore. The case is over. It's a wrap. But it wasn't like that. Even after the case, she reached out to me to make sure I was okay. I said, "You were great, Kathy." She was incredible. No harm, no foul. I was devastated, but we did our best. A few years later, I'm sitting on my couch and I get the call and said that Caleb from her law firm had gone to the Supreme Court and argued my case and said it wasn't fair. They agreed with him and they don't overturn many cases at the Georgia Supreme Court. And we were back in the game. That just shows, from the time that I walked out of that Lawrenceville courtroom, 3 years later, they still had me on their mind.
The evidence that we had to confirm the defendant was in fact at fault and not looking. It was an older dash cam, the footage was grainy, and there was a kind of a chopped off section, and the most important thing missing from the video was, did Brandon go up and press the button? And a huge contention was that he crossed against the signal. And so finding Chuck to confirm that not only did he see Brandon at the intersection waiting, but also that he pressed the button to wait his turn to cross and did not begin crossing until the signal illuminated. That really helped kind of fill in the pieces that the dash cam video was missing, particularly investigator Mack, the other witness, who actually confirmed that the defendant never turned his head. They were our star witnesses at trial, and they were vital to the case.
So we were able to settle the case voluntarily on both sides before having a second trial. And as compared to a total loss in the first trial, we were pleased to be able to flip that result and get a good outcome for our client.
We don't stop till we win if there's any way humanly possible. So I was always surprised when people would say, I just can't believe y'all did that. And I was like, I never thought we had any choice.
I'm glad that the man upstairs put Kathy in my life. I hated that it had to happen in such a tragic way, but she's been so impactful. She's just amazing, just an incredible person. Anybody who has a situation like I did, personal injury, anything, Kathy maybe get upset with me because I recommend people to her that's not even her specialty, because she's such a wonderful person. And I know if she can't help them, she'll get them to the right people that can help them. I would recommend the McArthur Law Firm to anyone, no question asked.